And we're bright, upbeat, and early this beautiful, albeit wet Thursday morning. Welcome to your perfect morning starter on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
We are a network built on trust. Thank you indeed for joining us here on the program. We're broadcasting live from Lagos. I am Kelly Egiga.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Of course, the 30th day in the month of July. We're wrapping up as quickly as possible. My head is somewhere around the elections coming up. General elections, because there's also an election. But I couldn't help. I was watching part of the panel session, guys, of this PFIPC probe that's going on with the National Assembly. And I'm just smiling because this looks like it may end up, with the greatest respect and without prejudice, there are three levels of investigations going on. There's the ad hoc committee set up by the House of Representatives. There's also the ICPC investigation, which we're expecting whatever they find, which Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff, had made an appearance as well. Then there's the one in court that is instituted against Prince Adeyemi. And I did say when I was on the budget that if this ends up this guy taking the entire fall, then everybody, maybe let me leave the court out, every other person, the ICPC as well as the House of Reps Outdoor Committee have failed in their responsibility. You cannot tell me, as rational as I am, that this guy could have acted alone. Suddenly everybody's now realizing, oh, the signature is fake. Oh, that in itself is complicity, that you didn't do your job. Well, I was listening to the head of service with greatest respect to her when they asked her about the signature, and she admitted to the fact that perhaps the gentleman or the lady who had attended to the letter when it came from the State House had little experience about correspondence such as that, so was not able to identify the difference in the signature of the Chief of Staff as against the one that they say is forged. And I just laughed. What are you saying? Yeah. What are you saying? Look, at this point, if this committee and ICPC, we don't see heads roll, then this is just a joke. This is just the classic NDDC situation where we were seeing then Gospel Akpabio, Niger Delta Minister, they were telling Honorable Minister, off your mic. No, for the records. It's not about looking for a way to make the head of Femi Gbajabiamila put on the spikes in terms of punishment. No, it's about a thorough job being done, forensic job being done. So in this committee, they've said there is no similarity. There was no attempt. Those are the words of the chairman of the committee. There was no attempt to even try to make it as close as possible between the original signature of the Chief of Staff to the one demand fake. So what I expect this committee to do, and these kinds of hearing, when you come to this kind of point, we need to see pictures of the two signature. What is the signature of Femi Gbajabiamila? Originally, let's see all of the correspondences. I know my signature even if I'm sleeping. Everybody around me knows my signature. Then we'll now see the signature of this gentleman who forged this. That they found his way in the budget. Now we're even hearing situation where the after the agency was set up under Muhammadu Buhari, God rest his soul, but they were supposed to be sent to other ministries after that agency was no longer functional. But for some reason, oversight, those people continue to work. What kind of explanation am I hearing? So it's difficult for me to believe anything. Trust me, because it's not, I see a situation of grasping at straw. People are saying this is an attempt to exonerate some people. Let's be clear. If it is Prince Adeyemi alone that goes down for the fall, then Nigerians will not take this government, as far as this issue is seriously. Let this be clear to the president as soon as possible. So heads must roll, whether it's negligence or complicity. Only this guy cannot take the fall. It's impossible. What has made this difficult to wish away is the fact that there's a budgetary provision signed up by the National Assembly, staff working, correspondences, and everybody lost vigilance. Oh, no, it's not acceptable.
But Jeff, I'm sure many Nigerians would totally agree with you that this isn't a fake agency. This wasn't a fake DG. We've said this on this platform over and over and over again, that Adeyemi, or Prince Adeyemi, couldn't have, gone through all of this process and stages all by himself. Some persons gave him access. Well, the head of service I hope this wasn't staged. I hope perhaps she's not the one who have been set up to maybe bear the cut, I hope that's not the case here. I like the fact that she said, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility for it, because other officers that have been mentioned have refused, have claimed they do not know him, they have not met him before. All of a sudden, they've never met him before. So I like the fact that she's taking responsibility, but I hope that perhaps she's not the one maybe used as a sacrificial lamb, perhaps. I hope that's not the case. She also mentioned that there were a lot of other agencies before her table. One would have wondered that for a request such as this big from the presidency, it should have perhaps gone through her table and her eyes to scrutinize before giving that final clearance. I hope this is not the case of Baba Sope, because we have used that phrase a lot to push a lot of things. So once it comes from the presidency, Baba Sope in quotes, whether Baba Sope says it or not, we don't do our due diligence. So long as it comes from the presidency, Baba Sope, all of a sudden we go into action. So I hope that's not the case that perhaps played out here. Maybe that's why that office didn't scrutinize as normally they should have done. All of a sudden, everybody's claiming innocence and all of that. And I'm wondering, in the 21st century, 2026, I even think that there are apps, there are softwares that you can just make a letter, run through or scan that letter to prove whether it is genuine or fake. So it's difficult to indeed swallow that this agency was fake, or that this letter, as the House of Reps have said, was fake. And why was the IGP not at the police? Why was the IGP not at that hearing? He sent someone to represent him, and the person claimed that they are also even investigating Prince Adeyemi. So it's on 4 levels now. So the police is investigating Prince Adeyemi, the court, House of Reps, ICPC, 4 of them. Nigerians are waiting. We want to see the end of this national embarrassment, and we are asking that Prince Adeyemi should not go down alone. Like we said yesterday, I think the doors of government do not open just by themselves. Some persons inside the government gave Prince Adeyemi access. Bukola.
Indeed, if we backtracked, Kelly and Jeffrey, we would recall that this is the second appearance of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation at this ongoing...
The first one, she sent someone to represent her. So but physically this is her second, but she had sent someone...
Yes, thank you for that clarification. Yeah. I refer to the first time she appeared physically when she said that the Civil Service Office did not grant him an office to operate at the National Secretariat because the documents that were presented did not pass scrutiny. So at this second appearance now, she's saying, and from reports, that due diligence was not carried out in the before recognition was accorded to this office and before waivers were granted for recruitment. So we see 2 accounts that just may be a bit different. Now, should we also be listening in on conversations that Prince Adeyemi had with reportedly certain officials of the budget office that guaranteed him an item in the budget? Recall that the DG of the budget office had also appeared and had said he didn't draw any amount, but we've seen that this individual has executed programs, has interacted with members of the diplomatic community. So what funds did he have to operate with? If he also operated with staff since he began operating as DG of the PFIPC, what funds did he draw to pay salaries and all of that? I'm wondering if we may need a second appearance of officials of the budget office, officials of the accountant general of the Federation, to verify indeed that this particular individual has not drawn funds for its operations. It is important to also see documents that the head of the Civil Service of the Federation had previewed before she granted approval, before our office granted recognition of this office, in comparison with what the real signature of the chief of staff to the president looks like, to see indeed whether one is counterfeit and the other is original. But more importantly, would it be a fair hearing if these officials are interrogated and the man at the center of it, whom this individual has also named as having had, a remote interaction with, is not invited? And some have said it would be the day indeed if the House of Representatives, amid its ongoing probe of the operations of this agency, does not invite the Chief of Staff to the President to also ask him very critical questions, because his name has been mentioned time and again amid the appearance of this very, very embarrassing operation of an agency that everyone is now denying to be fake. So these questions continue, and the revelations that we're getting beg for more answers than what we've already seen.
Well, there are two issues I want us also binge on as quickly as possible. One has to do, besides this, has to do with the issue of the Ansaro commanders finally being arraigned. They were arrested last year, both of them at different times. For me, just without, prejudice, without trying to predict what the outcome will be, since they've already made maybe some confessional statement, I think we have an expectation. We were here when the other ones, some others were sentenced to life, and the DSS said it's not going to happen. They are going to appeal that case for the person to get a capital punishment. I don't think this is less of it if they are found guilty, because the state must send signal. This is why we say, at all levels, everybody must be on board. The state must send a strong signal that this cannot be your playground. Whether you're Ansaru, whether you're Lakrowa, whether you're ISOP, whether you're Boko Haram, whatever name you want to go by, we really don't care. The state must stamp its authority and make sure we get the kind of verdict we expect. Well, it is the decision of the court, but Nigerians expect a certain kind of verdict, but the court will make that final call. On the other second part is, guys, we saw videos. I had to tell our guys to check that the videos are real of the CP of Lagos. We understand he attended the City Boy movement inauguration in Lagos, and I was just shaking my head. I say, what in the world? Sometimes you ask yourself, what exactly is going on? What was he thinking? If let me call it an allegation now, because I've been looking for, I don't know whether you guys have seen it, whether the public relations officer of the Lagos State Police Command has made any statement concerning the CP's appearance. For whatever reason, he had to go into the hall. So these are the videos that are circulating online, that is alleged that the CP had actually attended this event. So you can see behind you, City, what is that? City something.
City Boy movement.
So City Boy movement. So we understand he attended as alleged, because I can even see the president, see that logo there, all of that. So my question is, why should the commissioner of police, if indeed, attend a political rally, a political movement, in an election where the police is supposed to be neutral? This CP should be reprimanded, should be fired if necessary, because this is an embarrassment. It looks like a joke, it looks like something not serious, but this is serious. We are in a country where things like this are very sensitive, where sometimes even when the agencies do their bits, people still suspect, and you still walk and go to do what exactly in a political gathering? So I'm trying to give myself some mental adjustment to say, okay, maybe this is alleged. That's what I'm putting it. But the videos are there. This is not acceptable.
Even inside.
So what kind of election will this CP conduct that will be accepted by anybody?
There are even pictures.
So this is calling on the IGP to talk to his guy and know what, because Nigerians have an expectation as well. Guys, what do you make of it?
Yes, I was just going to say, there are even pictures as well of the CP Tijani Fatai inside the hall eventually, and perhaps one would have said maybe he was there to ensure there's security and all, but there are pictures and videos of him smiling and having a good time, so long as that event was concerned, that is concerned. He looked like he went there to have a good time. So in other words, we can just say the CP of Lagos, Tijani Fatai, is a city boy himself, or a member of the city boy movement, because that's what he went. I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult spirit to swallow. It's difficult to explain this. It's difficult to digest how the CP of Lagos would go for such an event. And there have been reports. I remember when ADC here in Lagos tried to hold some meetings there were reports that, thugs did not allow them to meet. There were even allegations that the police were also used, used to perhaps disrupt their meetings and all of that. This is really embarrassing to see. I hope that something can be done about this, but it doesn't even surprise me anymore, because we do a lot of things in this country with so much impunity. It looks like illegality thrives, corruption thrives in this country, and these things go without any reprimand. There are two IGPs, I think Abubakar Adamu and Usman Akali Baba, who wanted to become governors of their various states, and people were even questioning how come they have that kind of money to even buy the ticket of their party from two former IGs of police wanting to become governors of their state. I think in Yobe, and I'm not sure the other states now. So this is really sad, and I think something has to be done about this. And to make matters worse, we are even yet to put out a statement or to even clarify whether or not he was there indeed, or to just explain to Lagosians and Nigerians what exactly he was doing in that meeting.
And he appeared with a retinue of police officers at that event. The question is, what is the code of engagement, interaction with public officials that police officers, especially in senior capacity, should abide by? We know that police officers grant protection, security services to all categories of individuals, particularly VIPs who may be susceptible or open or exposed to violence from political opponents. But what we have seen in this particular engagement is what seems to be a social interaction.
Yeah.
The other videos that I have previewed are the ones in which the CP is seen socializing with members of this group inside the particular hall. So it's very difficult to defend this particular action as perhaps an engagement on an enlightenment or sensitization level, as we often see of police officers, senior police officers in public events where they sensitize on crime fighting and the role of society. But this has not been the case in this particular one. And speaking of, the impropriety of this particular interaction, let's head to Osun State now, because Jeffrey asked a critical question about what kind of election will, the command, prosecute, especially in Lagos, where this, I believe this event has held. Perhaps it's not in Lagos, but if they were to prosecute any election now, can they be guaranteed to be neutral in the prosecution, in the participation of that election, in the area of provision of security where their mandate is? Let's head to Osun State, where the Accord Party is making serious allegations, not just in the last 24 hours, but time and again, about the role of the police commissioner, I believe CP Gotan, in that particular state, saying that his role has now become one of zealous arrests of Accord Party members, and just going about town, as long as they confirm that the people that they have found are Accord Party members, they would arrest them. They are saying that about 36 members of their party, or even 50, I'm not quite sure what the number is, have been arrested. They transport them by road to the Federal Capital Territory, and their last visit to where they're being held, I believe Kuje Correctional Center, they discovered that some of those party members have been transported, have been moved to Kefi. And so what is their crime, we might ask? What is the crime of the one official of Osun State who has been arrested for voter inducement? We might ask why the Nigeria police has not been zealous to arrest other APC members ahead of the primaries that were distributing envelopes that carry the party logos with money. Does that not categorize as voter inducement? And so ahead of this election, it is very doubtful to say that the police in Osun State is exercising an impartial role that is all important and required ahead of the election, such that we know that they're not biased. And so we ask the Inspector General of Police to do due diligence, to intervene in the continuing very, very stifling political atmosphere and violent one ahead of the Osun elections, to help Nigerians know, and especially Osun State, that indeed the police is going to play a neutral role in this election? Because the situation as it is clearly not a satisfactory
So there are
one.
two things I'm going to put out there. You see, when we're talking about the CP of Lagos, for instance, in my head I still want to believe it's not happening. I don't know why I'm trying to give that excuse. So yes, so CP of Lagos, this is an open invitation to you. We are seeing videos saying that you attended City Boy Movement event, which you shouldn't. There's no explanation you can give because it's a political event, given the elections are here. But we'll give you the benefit of that, Honorable CP, to come and explain to Nigerians why you were there. And then the CP of, what's that state? Osun State. Even the IP had told him, I don't want to hear this back and forth between you and the governor. We're also extending that invitation to you because you should be neutral. So that invitation is open to whenever you want to come. We're here to talk to you and to be fair. But for now, the imaging and the messaging is bad. We'll take a break, we'll be back. Stay with us.
This is the morning brief. Let's head now to the papers and see what exactly we have as burning issues. Dr. Ambrose Igboke joins us live on the program, Chairman Guild of Public Affairs Analyst, Enugu State Chapter. Dr. Igboke, thank you as always for coming on the program. Perhaps maybe just 30 seconds or less, CP Tijani Fatai at the City Boy Movement.
Good morning. I think sometimes these our law enforcement officers have forgotten their first responsibility as to protect the citizens. But again, the constabulary training of the Nigerian police as tailored by colonial masters are still there. You know, there have not been serious change from what the police used to be when they were serving the colonialists from what the police is after independence. So the police still believe that their primary assignment is to protect the boss, I mean the president, the governor, or whoever that is paying his bill. And the allegiance of the police is not to the Nigerian citizen, but to those who appointed them, maybe the IG and the rest. And that is what they've always said, that you know the appointment of the IG and commissioners should have somehow be by independent a commission or a team. But be that as is made, this is a very new law, and the IG of police should at least issue this man a query. It should not be found anywhere near this kind of gatherings that soil the reputation or integrity of the police force. And at that level, if he doesn't know this, then it's unfortunate.
We'll see if the CP will be reprimanded by the IGP as well as that of Osun State. But let's take a look at this Nigeria this morning. It leads with a big story on the minds of perhaps virtually every Nigerian. Phantom agency reps brand Adeyemi's letter of appointment fake. Reps brand Adeyemi's letter of appointment fake. Head of service admits lapses, vows tighter procedures. IGP, police need court order to compel DG's appearance. I wonder perhaps what you make of this revelation. Well, the head of service perhaps taking the bullet. I wonder if you think she should be the only one receiving that bullet.
I mean, this is a shame on our processes as a country. At the highest level of governance, perhaps we don't even have a standard procedure for receiving correspondence from the presidency. Does it mean that anybody can just walk to the press? Let's even assume, and not conceding, that this letter is fake. So anybody can just walk into the head of service office or CBN or anywhere and drop letter and say it's from the presidency? Are there no formal and official means of transmission of correspondence from the presidency to its own agencies and institutions? So if truly the letter is fake and it was received by the head of service, that means there is no formal and transmission. There's no structured way of transmitting a letter. So this is bad and this is sad. That's happening in the country. And then for the House of Reps to say that this is fake, did the House of Reps employ any forensic experts, to look at this letter to say it is fake in the first place? whether forensic expert opinions and submissions, or they just made a political statement to say, oh, it is fake. So we need to know how the House of Reps arrived at that conclusion that it is fake. If it is just if it is not by forensic analysis, then I won't accept that kind of verdict. And then for the CBN saying that they received letter from the Accountant General's office, and now the head of service saying that the letter they received, that means there's no structured way of transmitting letters. If there is none, which I doubt there is, then I think the presidency and all those involved should find ways of making it maybe a mono channel of transmitting letters to institutions from the presidency. I mean, this is I don't know what other countries will be telling us now. They'll just be laughing at us that even at the highest level of governance, we are still people know the simple procedures of officialdom.
Well, that's another level to the conversation. Has a forensic expert been deployed to certify that indeed, one signature is fake and the other original? And so many, levels that this investigation actually requires before we can determine, what the facts are and separate them from, what is untrue. Let's get to the New Telegraph newspaper, and there's an interesting story here that has refused to leave public conversation in months now. To the New Telegraph, SA to Tinubu, blame Igbo King arrest of 500 criminal Nigerians for xenophobic attacks. And there's just one insight there, outlines 3 specific areas of concern that heightened recent tensions. Mr. Goke, the question is this just part of the conversation, or many things can be true at the same time as having set the stage for this round of xenophobic attacks, especially because other African nationals have also had to been evacuated from South Africa amid this round of xenophobic attacks?
I mean, the South African officials should be ashamed of themselves, and for offering this kind of hollow and shallow talk. That means that they are not even speaking as diplomats. I'm very sorry that if this is kind of representation South Africans can send to Nigeria, and if this is kind of thing they came to say, that they are not qualified to be diplomats, or the Zimbabweans, the Mozambicans, and all the Ghanaians that were sent out of South Africa were Igbos as well, or were 500 criminal elements from Nigeria. So if they go to Ghana, they will find one excuse to give the Ghanaian government to, or they go to Mozambique, they look for one. Or these people are shameless, and they are for them to come and say this kind of thing to another African country shows the kind of impunity even by their own president, Mr. Ramaphosa. Where you see, let's even assume that there are issues about the Igbo King or the whatever criminals that didn't go to court. Is it the work of citizens to brand people criminals? Does South Africa not have any courts that people can go for trial? When people are arrested, they can go for trial and convicted by the courts. Is it the jungle justice practiced by protesting citizens that can now convict people on the streets of South Africa? So if you are telling me that means all our suspicions all along has been true, that this xenophobic attack, the protest, the killings, the seizure of businesses by this group of South African citizens were sanctioned and supported by the government of Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. And that is why Nigeria should not be nice, and other African countries should not excuse Mr. Ramaphosa for encouraging his citizens to unleash terror on other African citizens. This is not acceptable anyway. And African leaders should rise and hold Mr. Ramaphosa accountable for all this kind of things. And it's because South Africa has been treated with leniency. That is why they can come and vomit this kind of thing and say, in a diplomatic level, and tell Nigerians this kind of cock and bull story.
Let's go to the Guardian newspaper, Mr. Booker. It leads with politics. Opposition flares Tinubu's focus on re-election, loses confidence in INEC. Well, there's been that back and forth. Where the president said the INEC has been fair. Well, I saw an analyst who said, look, Mr. President, it's not your job to tell Nigerians whether INEC you are an interested party, so there's no place in it. Of course, the opposition will talk about losing confidence in INEC as well. So the people will also make that decision. So, but what do you make of this back and forth? So you see the picture of the president, the INEC chairman, and some of the leading presidential candidates in this election.
Well, I pity the INEC chairman because he came in at a time where the credibility of INEC was very low in the estimation of Nigerians in the aftermath of the 2023 election, where INEC promised us everything, and at the last minute, they threw up under the bus by not doing the online transmission of results that they promised. So it was at a very low ebb. So anything he does, whether rightly or wrongly, people still see it as partisan, and that is not playing the right umpire role that he's supposed to do. Also, that some of the documents that linked him, people on FM documents immediately after his appointment, that linked him to being a legal representation for APC and some other things he wrote for APC, and this has made them, look at him as a partisan personality. But again, just last week, just this week, we got, I think on Tuesday, we got news from the courts that the lower court, that the registers of political parties has been reprimanded for such action. So that still goes to say that at least initially, has been able to vindicate themselves by upturning such judgments. So that means there's a little tiny light, some kind of ray of hope that judicial rascality cannot be allowed to stand in most cases. Well, for those who are saying that President Tinubu cannot commend INEC, well, he's also a participant. I think the people forget to know, or easily forget, that it's not just the president, that is a participant in the electoral process, that he's contesting for a second tenure. Therefore, he is part of the politics. So, just like they are saying that the INEC is not doing well, bringing out the fault of INEC. Some people say the INEC is doing well, some say it's not there. So, different opinion. When INEC favors a political party, the political party will say INEC are done well. When it doesn't favor it, it will say, oh, INEC is not doing well. Also remember that most of the time when politicians in Nigeria go to court and the court gives favorable judgments to them, they will say, oh, it's a victory for democracy. But when they lose, they'll say it's a rape on democracy. So all these things are the kind of back and forth we'll be expecting. But I expect the oppositions to say, just by saying it, let's bring out evidence, bring it out, do investigation on their own, and be able to put INEC under pressure, make sure that any malfeasance by INEC is exposed, make sure they follow INEC, what we call the down street, bumper to bumper, and in the down street, downtown, and make sure that INEC do not in any way, do anything to sabotage the election. The opposition should be on their toes, indeed.
We totally agree with you, Dr. Igboke. Let's switch gears to this Nigerian Tribune, which gets attention next. It says, tension in Osun as police arrest SSG, 5 others. Announced recovery of 4.8 million naira. Voters register. Adeleke's campaign council raises concerns over arrest ahead of polls. Stakeholders reject police commissioner at meeting, demand his redeployment. Then INEC is assuring of credible poll, deploys 4,427 beavers, extends PVC collection. So, I'm not sure. Look, the turbulence and tension in Osun State, the polity has really been heated up over the last few months. I'm just wondering just how the D-Day itself will play out. I wonder exactly how you're seeing and receiving this news from Osun State.
I mean, the police, going around, writing and detailing what they saw, 4.5 million. In today's Nigeria, 4.5 million naira, how much is it? I think that is a lot of money, But they turn a blind eye to counting of money during elections in some APC states where people were counting out money and giving to people, recorded. where people are giving money in APC branded envelopes, where there were, broad day electoral malpractice and vote buying. They didn't say anything. And then a man is walking around with most people, even traders, they go out with a lot of even 10 million naira in their boots. So Nigeria is a quick economy. So if you said good me, you saw 50 million naira or 60 million naira, what to do is to trace what is this money doing, and if it is ascertained that it is his money, why if you are going to institute a probe of fraud on him, then you can do that. But I saw 4.5 million naira on somebody, and he said that he assumed it is for election malpractice, and that is mundane. And then also the issue of whether I saw they said they saw two PVCs. So if I'm going around with my wife's PVC, or it's in my pen, or it's in my pocket, and you now tell me, I mean, yes, the police to be serious. They should focus on prevention of crime, thuggery, hostility, violence, and all those things. Make sure that the electoral materials get to where they want to get. But this tension in Osun is very, very unnecessary. Just because an opposition governor is the governor. If it was an APC governor that was the governor, we won't see this kind of tension. So I think the APC should not put us into a problem in Osun. They should allow the people be what they want to be. If the governor is doing well and the people want him back, fine. If the governor is not doing well and the people don't want him, fine. But it was the same APC that denied the incumbent from joining them or being part of them before he was forced to another party. So when are they now trying to help them on putting Mr. Oyetola as the governor? After all, Mr. Oyetola also lost to this particular incumbent. If he was that good, why did he lose? So we should not do it as a do or die affair. Let the people choose. And the police should be circumspect in trying to join the fray. They are not politicians. They are not the politicians. The police are not in the ballot. So they should return what they have been paid for and by the citizens and protect the citizens rather than by taking political sides.
Well, Dr. Buke, Mr. Oyetola, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, is not on the ballot. The APC candidate in this election is Mr. Bola Oyebamiji. Although the ruling party in the state, the Accord Party, has, made several allegations against the minister of being in cahoots with the government to control the local government funds. So it's been, as Kelly has said, a heated up policy that we have seen in Osun State ahead of these elections. And how these issues have not been resolved, it really is curious and goes to show just how important, the real values of democracy are to the all concerned now, both the administration and even the ruling party in the state, because we have also heard that it is only in Osun State that local government autonomy, in line with the Supreme Court ruling of 2024, is being implemented. And everyone wants local government autonomy to be implemented. So why is Osun State the exception in this case? As we have heard, the president said if governors do not comply, he would have to invoke an executive order, which we are yet to see many months down the line after the president, has, made that particular commitment. So the question is, if Osun were not an opposition state, would local government autonomy be implemented? Let's get to the Guardian newspaper this morning. Opposition flays Tinubu's focus on re-election. Okay, we're taking that. So let's get to Daily Trust. Yeah. We approved Phantom Council without due diligence. That's the statement ascribed to the head of service during yesterday's continuing probe by the House of Reps committee. But there are other stories. I believe that Dr. Buke may have reacted to that as well. There are other stories atop the nameplates that should also draw our attention this morning. Let's go to the extreme right corner of the Daily Trust newspaper. Marketers NMDPRA bicker over fuel import licenses. Dr. Buke, where are you on this? It appears as if, as far as the energy sector is concerned, particularly the downstream sector, there are so many other issues shaping price control, regulation, products availability, interactions between and amongst marketers. Dr. Buke.
Anytime I hear stories about import license, pricing because of a high cost of petroleum products in the international market, and all the kind of malfeasance that go on in the petroleum downstream sector especially, I shake my head in disbelief. This is a country that doesn't have business in importing fuel, importing both crude oil and refined oil, but we are doing the two. The paradox and contradictions in our economic structure bewilders. I don't think even guys in the London School of Economics can unravel this. All the best hands, even the World Bank and IMF, I don't think they can even wrap their head around the fact that a big oil producing country like Nigeria is importing crude oil for its Dangote is importing crude oil for its refinery, and we're also importing refined products for all our local consumption. And then we hear, NNPC, the government, the marketers bickering about import license. This is it's so annoying that we are not even supposed to be talking about this in the first place. Yes, the subsidy that they were giving to, cushion the effect, the president said it is gone. We are left with, the oscillating price of international market. They tell us about the Iran war. Fuel is 1,300 something, 1,400 in some places per liter for petrol, and they tell us because it's about Iran war. Is it doomsday? Is this that there's something that we cannot do about it? We did something with the telecoms industry. What is the cabal hold on this petroleum industry that we cannot simply refine the products we need to use here at home and stop importation of crude oil after exporting our own, import other people's own? It is something that I think the Tinubu administration should face squarely. And if it is the gift it can give Nigeria to make sure that we refine products locally, that we don't even need these import licenses. If it can be a gift it can give to Nigeria, we are begging him, let it be a gift it can give to all of us. Because this has become shameful. I mean, when you travel outside, I have friends from other countries, especially other African countries, Europe and the rest. You will understand what I'm saying. When people talk to you, they begin to talk to you through the mirror of how they see your government. And it's very embarrassing indeed.
Well, very spot on, Dr. Bouke, and I'm sure I agree with you as well as many Nigerians as well. The image and how we project Nigeria to the world is really, really very essential, and I think we have to do better in terms of just how we market our country in a positive manner. But we'll have to leave it here. There's so many burning issues, but we're absolutely pressed for time. Dr. Ambrose Igboke is the chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analyst, Enugu State Chapter. And by the way, I'm not seeing you with your Mazi cap, Dr. Igboke.
Some days are left for the head to receive some fresh air.
That sounds like an Igbo proverb. Well, thank you, as always, Dr. Igboke, for your time on the program. All right, this is the morning brief. Let's take a moment. When we come back right here on this network, we try to have smart and timely conversations. We're back in just a moment as we head to our very first conversation right here on the morning brief. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Recently, we saw another round of killings that happened in Benue and Kaduna. The president is livid and he said those killers must be brought to book. What exactly is going on? We've talked about Benue so much. We've interviewed the governor, interviewed commissioners, we've interviewed literally everybody that should be talked to at different points in time. But the insecurity in Benue seems to persist. What are the drivers? What can we do for a final resolution? The president himself had to travel to Makodi in Benue State at some point, which was one of his first visits to what I consider ground zero, where people are massacred. And he spoke extensively about that issue, but it is not going away. So let's bring in a human rights activist who is familiar with the territory as to this latest round of killing in the southern part of the state. Mr. Daniel Ajayi is a human rights activist joining us virtually. Mr. Ajayi, thank you so much. Mr. Atai. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Yes. Morning, Channels TV, and thanks for the privilege.
Well, Mr. Atai, I wish we can be excited about what's going on in Benue, but unfortunately, no. It's one round of incident or the other, and it's reported in fatalities, and there's been all kinds of allegations about what is driving it, who is responsible. But what do you make of this latest killing that has happened in the southern part of the state?
As I speak to you, Channels TV, even at the moment, we have been sieged. We have been besieged with unwanted killings by terrorists. And I can tell you clearly that these terrorists are jihadists. They have this religious ideology, and they believe that Benue and Plateau must be conquered. I never wanted to believe in the speech of Donald Trump, the American president, when he said there is genocide in Nigeria against Christians. But what I have witnessed with my eyes, I can really tell you that the American government was true in that statement. As we speak, Benue South, which is the Zosi senatorial district, there is war, not war that two different groups are fighting, but war came to us in Zosi and the people are helpless. That is Benue South senatorial district. Benue stands on a tripod of A, B, and C. And for over 20 years, precisely from 2000, the year 2000 to date, it began from Agatu and Apa, and we thought it was only going to be Agatu and Apa. At the time, the SGF, the current SGF of this country, was the governor of the state. It was mild per se, and we thought it to be something like herders-farmers clashes. But what we are witnessing from 2015 to now, it is quite like the terrorists have been empowered and on the bench on an ideological mission that Benue must be sacked. Benueites must have to leave their farms, leave their homes, and for them to occupy. That is what we see, because the annihilation is inhuman. You just need to send your correspondent to see if they could even stand the heat of the gunfires. I don't know when Nigeria began another civil war, but I can tell you, Channels Television, we need your help. I think we are at war, the war that we never created, the war that we never wanted. Our people are being massacred mercilessly. Women, children, including pregnant ones. I don't know what is the crime, but I can tell you, we are done with this. We have added enough to our neck. It is enough and we can no longer take it. Sadly, the military.
Yes, and that's where I'm headed. I'm sure there are military formations in Benue. I'm not quite sure if there is one in Otukpo, where you say the latest round of killings have occurred. occurred. 14 persons have been killed, I believe, in Efe. Talk to us about the role of the military formations in Benue State, especially since Mr. President visited Benue State last year. Why have the killings not abated?
When Mr. President visited the state and asked the political leaders and bureaucrats to make peace within themselves, particularly within his party, and asked the military to take charge of Benue insecurity, I think it has worsened since then. We would have prayed that the president never came to Benue, because as we speak to you, even the military are overwhelmed. The paramilitary are overwhelmed. But one thing that I would like to tell you today and the people of Nigeria, even as I am grieving, is that the military, when you call the military, they have proactive information, they have information about or intelligence about planned attack and threats. The issue of logistics, the military will complain that they don't have fuel in their cars, they don't have whatever, mobility. And when they eventually come to the scene of crime, of the killings, you will find out that the enemies or the invaders, the terrorists would have gone. Rather, they would be arresting the vigilantes formation, which is the local security network that our people are like depending on to protect them, to avert the threat. So, it is the responsibility of the state government to ensure that whatever fund meant for security, proactive security measures are given to the police commissioner and to the military divisions and sectors that are in our state. We have the Operation White Stroke, we have the JTF, we have the civil defense, and Nigerian police. We have the local vigilante, we have the what do you call them? The local vigilante that the state government formed. But I tell you, the power force from the jihadists, from these terrorists, overwhelmed them. They could not even stand it, and they are not even protecting. It is when annihilation are taking place that you will see them drive their vehicles to come and count scores and numbers of dead bodies on the ground.
Mr. Tai, so I mean, it's a really very sad development. We see and read these stories, and we have our presence right there in Benue State because we have our correspondent there as well. So it's really sad and tragic to see that almost on a daily basis there on the we see these reports of killings happening across Benue State, and you have cited that since 2015 this has been happening. So almost 11 years down the line, and these killings have taken place. One would have thought.
As we speak, we have accounted. The killing have taken more than 6,000 lives. You can check the
more than 6,000 lives. We'll have to fact check that. But my question really to you would be: only a few weeks ago, your state marked its 50th anniversary, and it was a very big celebration. Howbeit, one man was practically missing in all of the events I saw. The secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, and he was a former governor. Perhaps there are those who think there's a political undertone to all of this. I wonder if you think that maybe that disagreement between the SGF and the governor, is it also contributing to maybe why things are the way they are in Benue State in terms of this insecurity that we're experiencing in Benue State? I mean, that is the food basket of the nation, a state that many Nigerians normally would depend on for food.
Channels TV, thank you for this question. You see, the SGF became governor from 1999 to 2007 before Suswan took over. The insurgency started about the year 2000. Yes, of a truth, there is a political conundrum in the All Progressive Congress as a party, particularly between the SGF and the incumbent governor earlier. And I can tell you this, that the recent killing from 2015 to this 2026 that we are has taken another tone, and whether it is a political making or the making of our religious ideology, one thing is certain: politics always have crisis. The politicians always don't have unity among themselves to avert war. And it is like in Benue, the leaders tend to be answerable to the northern religious caliphate. I am referring to Islamic caliphate, because those who are murdering us, they are not from Japan, they are not from China, they are not from US, they are from the same northern Nigeria, with this religious belief that Benue is their land. It is not about farmers' header clashes anymore. It is now a religious project from the far north to Islamize not only Benue, but Plateau and the middle belt Nigeria and take over. I don't know whether in democracy religious project should be allowed. And thirdly, earlier, Governor Alia and the SGA.
Mr. Tai, we're totally out of time. Well, you made some strong allegations, so let's say these are allegations, and it needs to be proven. But you have a right to say what you have to say, but these are still allegations. When you talked about the concerted efforts from a religious point of view, so needed to put that out. But in just 30 seconds, so that we can move to the next conversation, in just 30 seconds, do you see, how would you assess the response of the state government? Does Governor Alia look helpless? Is that what you're saying?
Governor Alia is not only helpless, but he is not, I don't know whether he is ready, whether he is in charge of Benue at all, whether he is ready to avert the threats and the terrorism and the killings that are happening in Benue State right now. As I speak to you, Benue Zone C, which is the Benue South, more than 50 persons have gone down. Just like that. And when this threat came, the DSS, the police, the army, and the government that are informed. Look at what Ondo State governor has just done. The governor cannot tell us that he does not have money to purchase surveillance or even drones to go to our forest to monitor these men that have come to the state to kill us. And when you speak about self-defense,
my apologies.
the government will tell you that you will not defend yourself. We are in a mess in the country. I think the government need to sit up. The people will never continue to to employ people who will govern over.
All right, Mr. Tai, we're totally out of time. I think your point is well made, and well, this is we've had to interview the governor before, but I think what you're saying, rather than this degenerate to anarchy, the governor must step up to his responsibility. He has one job, just one job first: the preservation of lives and property. And from your assessment, he's failing significantly at that job, and he has to rise up to the responsibility. We've seen the Oyo State government buy surveillance helicopters. I think we heard it's about 9.9 billion or so. Those kind of things, we're supposed to see all those kind of things in the northern state of Nigeria, including places like Benue, but I don't know whether they're there. My apologies. Totally out of time. Mr. Daniel Atai, human rights activist, thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we will segue from Benue to issues of state of the nation, and gladly, our next guest is also from the north central part of Nigeria. He represented the Plateau State and is going back because he's contesting on the platform of the APC to run for the House of Reps. Bukola, you have this one.
Yes, indeed, Jeffrey. Honorable Dacham Bagos, APC House of Reps candidate for Just South, Just East Federal Constituency and member of the 9th National Assembly, joins us now this morning. And he, of course, represented that particular federal constituency at the House of Reps at the 9th Assembly. Honorable Bagos, good morning and welcome to the morning brief.
Yeah, thank you, Bukala. Morning. I always like the fact that you can pronounce my name very well, like you are from Plateau. So this is the second time I'm commending you.
Well,
Jeffrey will always have to struggle, so you ran away. Good morning.
Well, I'm going to have to ask for a reward for that particular proficiency.
Absolutely.
Very soon.
Absolutely. We have Plateau potatoes, so we'll send Plateau potatoes to Lagos.
All right, let's get right into it. And, conveniently for this particular conversation, you're also from the North Central, where killings are ongoing. There were killings in Mangu, but we'll get to that in the course of the program. Congratulations would be in order, Honorable Bagos, because the last time we had you expressed aspirations, I believe, for the Senate, but you've secured the ticket for the House of Reps to continue to represent the constituency where you represented. And so, as we begin a national conversation, what is uppermost in my mind, and for many, would be this ongoing probe into the operations of a fake agency. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation appeared before a committee probing that particular matter, and of course she has given a statement accepting responsibility. But the matter now borders on fair hearing, as questions are being asked about when the House of Representatives will invite the Chief of Staff to also provide an account about what he knows about this, because he's been named by this man who has now been, termed a fake DG. I'd like you to weigh in on this, as you also represented the House of Representatives in the 9th Assembly, during which the Chief of Staff was the Speaker.
First of all, I followed the hearing shared by my brother Gagdi, in the sense that normally hearings like this, you wait for the final report that will be laid on the floor of the House. Then you predetermine the recommendation and what was now discovered from the investigation. But from what usually happens on the floor during committee meetings and investigations like this, whosoever that the committee deems fit to invite, the person will and shall appear. So, as long as if the committee send out an invitation to our leader, the former speaker, definitely I can assure you that he will appear, because he is a seasoned legislator, and he knows the rules of the House, and he will come and table his defense. But as long as he has not yet appeared, and as long as I have not yet had an information that he has been invited, till then. But I'm so confident that if such invitation is being extended to him, knowing the rules of the House, he will definitely honor the invitation of the House to actually to give his own defense as it is. Because what happened is quite unfortunate, and it's something that ought not to have happened. At the same time, commend the head of service for opening up to own to some certain aspect. But again, as a Nigerian, not just as a legislator or someone that has been in the House, we want to see that the recommendations that will come out from this wonderful committee and the recommendations have been taken. At the same time, even the investigation by the ICPC will be able to take us to a certain level. Because my problem with the situation where we are today as a country is that at the end of the day, when all this is done, we don't follow up with dispensing and carrying out justice, or be able to punish who needs to be punished at what particular measure, what particular time. Because whosoever might have wants to do this again will remember that, look, someone today is in jail because of what has happened.
But Honorable Boggos, if the head of the committee is, asking the head of the civil service to differentiate this two signatures before, two documents before her, asserting that one is counterfeit and the other is original, does it look like fair hearing to you? Can that be done without, the professionalism deployed from a forensic expert? And will the House of Reps have the spine to invite its former principal amid this continuing probe?
Absolutely, they can invite him, but as I don't know how they got the evidence of the two documents, but as long as evidence is before the committee can present it for clarification. So if it's now presenting it to the head of service, meaning that was that what their office or not, they'll be able to determine that. But when the former speaker comes in, he'll be able to clarify that, look, this was my signature and this is not my signature. Either way, so he is the only person to be able to clarify that at the end of the day. But any evidence that is before the committee that is carrying out any investigation, the committee has the right to present such evidence for clarification. So if that document that the committee has gives them one or two leeway to the investigation, definitely they will seek clarification from whosoever they feel that that person might be one of the authority officer from where the document might have come in through the channel of communication in the civil service. So,
well, Honorable, it's interesting to see you refer to Honorable Majadamin as your leader, even though he has left and switched to the executive arm of the government.
Absolutely, he was my leader because I was in the 9th Assembly. Okay. He was the Speaker of the House, so definitely you can say that he's not a leader. Because I was in the opposition, but he was the leader of the 9th Assembly at that time.
So maybe, well, let me see if I can squeeze in as many questions as possible. Have you ever been a part of any committee at all that had this kind of familiar case, and then there was an investigative hearing was there, and perhaps you can walk us through the end of how that report ended, and perhaps if you were present at the 10th Assembly, what would you have done differently? And then my final question would just be, which of these phrases best describes this assembly? There are those who describe it as double rubber stamp, and there are those who describe it as a toothless bulldog, because how do you summon the IGP to present Prince Adeyemi, and then he tells you that go secure a court warrant before you can ask me to present him before the House?
Well, we were in the 9th Assembly, we were called rubber stamped, and now again, the 10th Assembly still called a rubber stamp. Double rubber stamp. Public perception in every assembly since the assembly has been established has been there. And the more people feel the heat of the economy, the more people will call its representative or whatsoever name they deem fit because of what they are feeling, that either they are not having fair representation or whatsoever. So definitely you will have that because we all know how the economy is hitting hard on the people. I've been part of several investigative committees in the House and have chaired other committees in the House. And like I said earlier, our issues and what the major problem we usually have. Fortunately and unfortunately, what usually comes out of the National Assembly in terms of motions and in terms of investigations, at the end of the day, you come out with a recommendation. And those recommendations, we usually push those recommendations to the relevant agencies that are supposed to execute our recommendations. We usually have challenges from relevant agencies that are serving with the responsibility of executing our recommendations, either from motions or either from committees like this. For instance, now you now have a recommendation that look, we have investigated this agency, and so such person needs to be either suspended or such person needs to be queried. Such things need to be done A, B, C, and D. But you find out that at the end of the day, the House will finish its work. Public funds is being spent, but recommendations from the motions of the House is not being carried out at the end of the day by one or two relevant agencies. I can tell you that has been the challenge of the House since time immemorial, because the House today cannot say that, look, you should be, cannot give you or give any head of any agency an express dismissal later because we did not employ such a person. So those relevant agencies that the House has finished investigation to carry out those recommendations has usually been the problem of the House, time immemorial. So we do our work. At the end of the day, we get it wrong somewhere. We will do a deal, make a law. At the end of the day, it's being interpreted in the court of law differently. So the public perception in the House in terms of knowing the real working of the House, the role of the House in other areas has been the major problem. At the end of the day, to see that, look, this is where the House stops. This is what the judiciary will continue, and this is where the executive will carry out. As long as we don't differentiate these three arms, we will always have a problem as representative of the people, because we usually overpromise during campaign.
I'm not sure you've answered the question as to what you would have done differently if perhaps you were in that ad hoc committee as a member, or perhaps maybe as the chair.
If I were in the House, looking at the terms, I don't know what is the terms of reference to of the investigation. If I were the chair, with my background from as an anti-corruption expert, definitely I will do what I need to do according to the terms of reference. So I can't say that this is what I could have done differently, because I don't know the terms of reference of that committee at the moment. At the same time, I'm not in the House at the moment. At the same time, again, I cannot determine the outcome of that committee. But if I were in the House, I'll give the Nigerian people what they need to have in terms of what it ought to be done rightly.
Vargas, it's a question of confidence in the public. Whatever government there is, whether it's a PDP or an APC government, there must be an attempt to rebuild confidence in the system. And so when people ask a lot of questions, no matter how rational or irrational those questions are, it comes from somewhere. Because we've seen committee seats and we've seen the outcomes, and as you said, it goes nowhere in some of these cases because the people that are supposed to execute resolutions or recommendations are far and in between. But let's talk politics. And this politics has to do with your party. Now you're a member of the APC. And the opposition has been complaining bitterly. Yes, opposition will always complain. But let's look at whether their characterization of the issues is fair or not. One, they are saying that the ruling party is muscling the system, shrinking the civic space with court issues. They are blaming the APC for a lot of these court issues. Now look at the one that's going on in Osun State. Arrest is one-sided arrest, and the CP is getting a lot of flags according to what is being reported. And then the issue of INEC. So a straight question from a fair mind will be, do you think that in this coming election, ahead of this election, I'm not just talking about from the general election, the APC is playing fair or is ready to play fair based on some of the things that the opposition has characterized as the activities of the ruling party and institutions in cahoot with them?
When I was in the opposition, I complained the same. And when I complained the same, I now discovered that my party wasn't fair to me, not even just only the opposition. I'm not even saying this because I'm no longer in the PDP. But you remember very well, Geoffrey, that when I won elections in 2023 to the 10th Assembly, either way, we were removed from the court. When we were challenged in the court by the ruling party and other parties, because the person that replaced me in the house today was a Labour Party person, not even the APC. So I can tell you, all the political parties, or most of the political parties, their house is not even in order for leadership. Leadership in the sense that most of them have carried one challenge or the other, aside the issue of leadership for the Nigerian people to see how we can get proper opposition in the country. And again, the sense of the opposition is another challenge. Since 1999, I've always complained this, Geoffrey, but it's the same face in leadership in the opposition at one point or the other that has been the cycle. And the young people have not yet gotten the understanding and how to be part of the system in governance. So the opposition, are they even ready? I don't think so. Were we ready when we were in opposition? We weren't ready. We were so disorganized. We were so selfish on some certain issues, and that's where that's why we are where we are today. So the issue of either blaming the APC or not blaming the APC, let's check the opposition. How ready is the opposition?
There's the element, my apologies, there's the element of opposition putting his house in order, but there's also the element of the opposition accusing the ruling party of using the institutions of state to suppress them, or one way or the other, through court. For instance, the latest that has to do with the attempted deregistration of ADC and the rest. It was a very embarrassing situation where Justice Lufu had ruled against a stay of proceeding by a higher court, and he was thoroughly reprimanded at a time when there was another stay of execution forwarded by INEC filed by INEC to the Court of Appeal. And they also reprimanded him. The judgment has come out, and we understand that the AGF was joined in that suit. And people are wondering, what are you doing? Is it that this APC just want to be the only party on the ballot, or you want to take out the real contenders and leave participants? So that is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, if you had followed some of our conversations, and for me, I've not hidden from the fact that as a Democrat, I prefer opposition, and in short, I even work under pressure when I'm being opposed to some certain extent. So either the APC, the ruling party, our party wants to muzzle opposition or not. Most of us are not in support of any notion or being joined or whatever. But I can tell you again, you will not shy away from people that, look, they can be so overzealous to say that, look, this is an opportunity for us to wade in, to see that, look, now there's a window to be able to see that whatever opposition will have as a party to be able to wait it. You can't shy away from that. But as a Democrat, and even knowing the national chairman that is on plateau as a Democrat, he will tell you that he will want opposition in as much as he will want to canvass for support from any other political party. But having a one-party system, definitely I'm not in support. Having opposition, I'm 100% in support as a person, as a Democrat, as an activist. But again, putting our house in order by so doing, saying that there are some certain elements, like I said, there are some certain elements that might want to see that, oh, let's cash in because they can be overzealous in a certain way to do whatever they think they can do. That I'm not in support. But we can't shy away from the fact that, look, one-party state system is not the best for this country. Internationally, democratically, and as a people politically, and looking at the younger generation that I stand for, it is not, I can tell you I don't support that. But for my party to win in the 2027 election, I support that. But for opposition to come in and challenge us, at the same time, I support that so that it will make us work and convince the people on what we need to do accordingly.
Well, I couldn't miss your position on the lack of readiness of the opposition. If the APC appears to be the one that has its house in order, some would also question the APC's commitment to internal democracy, citing the issues that surrounded the primaries where there were disputes over candidates who were presented as consensus, and we're wondering what really is the idea of consensus if people are not in agreement over who the consensus candidate is. And some would say prayers for you that this politics of might in the APC will not blow your way someday in the future, Honorable Bagos. But we cannot.
For me, I won't speak. I'm not the national secretary of the party or the publicity secretary. And again, for me, I contested my primaries and I won squarely. Whatsoever that might have happened in other places, I'm not aware. But then I can tell you, I had my own primaries and I won squarely. But what matters most, you see, Bukala, what matters most is that what happens during primaries is that, look, every person has a right to be a candidate in any other party. Why are we so worried that if you are not a candidate of APC or PDP, you cannot contest elections in 2027? The Court of Appeal has made it very clear that the parties that they were afraid for deregistration, every party has a right, as long as you have the people, and as long as you are a Democrat, and as long as you are a genuine person on ground. There is no way that my constituency that I know very well, with over 400,000 registered voters, I will contest election and I get the support of my people. And you tell me that because the ruling party is in my state will come and upturn my election? It's not possible. You can't even hear that because the people are with the candidate. So that is the issue that I always tell politicians, that look, get the support of the people. Whatever party you are, you win your election, people will defend your votes wheresoever it stops. I know that we have the challenges either at the judiciary or any other.
Honorable Bagos, we cannot say.
Go and win your election.
Honorable Bagos, we cannot say that it is the same case for all other candidates in other categories of primaries that were contested. There were many who said they won fair and square, but they were eased out of the process. We will anchor at this point, and thank you very much for coming on the program. Honorable Dachang Bagos is the APC House of Reps candidate for Just South East Federal Constituency and member of the 9th Assembly. Thank you so much for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you, Bukola. Thank you.
I think Kelly should have this.
Okay, well, we're joined this hour by Mr. Femi Onoka, who is the MD, Nos Anchor Solutions Limited. Thank you indeed for coming on the program. You are making very weighty allegations around a particular trip of the Minister of Youth. Yes. So perhaps you should just walk us through the backstory as to what exactly are you trying to say to Nigerians? What has played out exactly? Walk us through the backstory very, very briefly about what has happened.
Okay, thank you very much. Around December, January last year, a group came out with a brief regarding a government-sponsored program for young entrepreneurs and business people, a UK summit as it were, to meet with investors in diaspora. And it was seen by many as a very laudable position. It was marketed by Mrs. Agamon of Moriko Limited in partnership with a comrade Iyere, who had a program called YOTC, but YOTC has since transformed to NEDEP and YEDEP. It was claimed that the program was in partnership with the federal government and the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. Participants were requested to pay some sum to facilitate the stuff. They went to Abuja and were received at the Federal Secretariat, the Federal Ministry of Youth Development office. After making the payments and all, they were given some documents and applications were made to the UK office. It turned out actually that it was all false. The documents were false. There was no meeting set up in the UK, so the monies collected from them was really a setup to defraud them.
So who collected these monies?
The monies was collected through the recruiting agency, Moriko Limited, Mrs. Agomon, and our partner is Comrade Kennedy Iyere. Incidentally, the Comrade chap goes around the country promising youth empowerment, speaking against the government, we're going to fight government, we're going to do, posturing in that position. And the leverage he has is that he has an MOU with the Ministry of Youth Development. Now, this MOU is really on the part of the Ministry of Youth Development to facilitate, but it's also being used now as a conduit for defrauding innocent Nigerians who are looking for better opportunities as, espoused by government initiatives. The real thing we are against and why we're coming out on this matter, bringing it to light, is that there's a massive leverage and there are several folks like this, just like the IDMA, PFIPC situation, that there are several individuals who are leveraging government position, government opportunities to defraud people, to defraud the system. And the sad part about what they are doing is we now come to the conclusion that is it a question of collusion, right? Because for the case in question, the NEDEP, YEDEP position that people were defrauded with, the minister was at a meeting on, I think it was March 27, 2025, at Radisson Blue in VI, in the presence of other banks and supporters as well. So it gave a legitimacy to the program, and people who were
Minister of Youth Development, Mr.
Olawande,
he interfaced with.
Yes, he was there. I have provided Mr. Oshobojo with some of the reference.
Okay, that's the videos we're seeing on the screen.
So that's the chap there. So the minister was there. It gave legitimacy to the stuff.
I'm not sure I can see the minister there. Okay.
Yeah, that's the minister.
That's the minister there.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So it gave legitimacy to the entire program, because when you find the minister is there and you find the people there, and then some of the documents that the chap also gave them to submit to the UK embassy to process the visa, it carried the minister's name, carried representation from the Ministry of Development. We have now subsequently gone to see to inform the ministry regarding that. we have gone to see the ministry. I mean, spoken with representatives of the ministry and minister to some level regarding that. And when we discussed with them, said that there's only an MOU. So if just on the basis of MOU, innocent Nigerians have been exposed to incidents of fraud such as this, getting defrauded, the chap actually even took, after collecting money for the visa processing and all, he actually took money for air flight tickets for a year to be issued visa, right? Claiming that he has a partnership with, I don't know if it's Arik or Hero Contractors, or I mean one of these airlines to help, take people there. And when we reached out to they said that there was no actual push to either force the arrest and prosecution of this person and help people to recover their funds. So it gives people the suspicion that it's either a case of collusion, right, between members of the ministry, without laying accusations at anyone directly, but it's a case of collusion, or a case of gross incompetence, right, that in the drive to seem like you're doing something, right, you are actually exposing people to more dangers. Now, these are the ones that I have been closely aware of. I know that the chap, Comrade Iyere, was in Enugu sometime this year. He was launching YEDEP again, and the ministry was also present. He was still flaunting the same partnership with the ministry and everything. Banks are involved in the program. It will tell people to go and open bank accounts and stuff like that. I know they did the same thing. One of his partners, the Mrs. Agamadu recruiter, Moriko Limited. I recently got in touch with representatives of the Edo State government as well to inform them that this person is actually doing, because she was advertising a seminar in partnership with another state government. So there are a number of people who are using access and and as a leverage to defraud people, to present legitimacy, like they're trying to help.
So these individuals that you have mentioned, the recruiter and Mr. Iyere.
Yeah, Comrade Kennedy Iyere.
Comrade Kennedy Iyere. Do they identify themselves as officials of the Ministry of Youth Development with the mandate to promote this yielded program?
So what they have presented themselves as are that they are in partnership, direct partnership with the Ministry of Youth Development. And the ministry is often well represented at their programs, which gives some form of legitimacy to their claims. The ones that were defrauded that I talked about, they had an interview and screening at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja.
In Abuja?
Yes, so it gives some legitimacy. And then when you go for programs, you see the ministry represented. In the case that was presented, you see the minister being present. He gives some form of assurance, that this thing is real. In fact, if you check the Ministry of Information on their website, YEDEP, when it launches a program, they promote it as it's a government, backed program. So anyone that just goes on a cursory review will just see, it's recognized by the federal government. Go ahead and it's an initiative to help youths and all those things, and that's how it is presented. And in today's climate that people are looking for better opportunities, a lot of youths are disillusioned with the system. When things like this happen, it creates a deeper mistrust of the entire system. So if you're that you're having youth initiatives to help people, you're having a business initiative to help people, but it is being used as a fraudulent.
So let's manage our time. This round of the YEDEP program that you are aware of, that you're bringing to light, how many people are you saying have been defrauded?
I have a list.
And do you know them personally?
Yes, I have a list. About 20 people were defrauded through that particular case. We can use the word alleged, but as someone who has some of the evidence and can be presented, we have actually spoken with Alagon. We spoke with Area F, right, and got an invitation for Comrade Iyere, but he declined to show up. So, and both of them, just.
So we're going to leave this in the realm of allegation, and this is a direct invitation to Comrade Iyere and the recruiter.
Kennedy is running as a senatorial candidate
and the
under
recruiter.
Accord Party in Edo State. The recruiter, Mrs. Agamo of Moriko Limited, she's running as, she's saying that she's a liaison with the Edo State government currently trying to help them do
So
this.
let's
This is an
declare-
automatic invitation. They have a right of reply on this particular one.
Yes,
So that's
these are
what we should
all
also
allegations. Yes, we should also. It would also be nice if the ministry itself and all, not just this particular ministry, all MDAs, when you position yourself as partners with program executors, there's a bit more due diligence being done. I mean, to remove.
We're totally out of time, Chief. Yes, we're totally out of time, but the point is well, Mr. Kelly. All right. Well, we have to leave it here, and it's only just interesting because we're only trying to deal with one scandal, and then we're having to perhaps see another alleged scandal. But Femi Onokores, the MD, Nuzanke Solutions Limited, I was going to ask you perhaps what your interest is, but we are totally pressed for time. We'll take a moment now. When we come back, we'll switch gears to our last conversations. We're back in just a moment. Everyone, please stay with us. Let's get to our next conversation, and that has to do with subnationals and the governance in the state. Kwara State in focus. Akintade Shitu is a former special assistant on geographic information systems to the Kwara State governor. He joins us virtually. Mr. Shitu, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you.
You know, when you look at Kwara State under Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, is mixed messaging, some bad, some good. On one hand, there is a part of, youth inclusiveness, women. On the other hand, in terms of performance of government, there are a lot of questions to be asked. And then the internal wrangling of succession in the APC. So, for instance, at the top of my head, one of the things I remembered vividly was the issue of MRI, that the entire state, like Kwara, did not have an effective MRI. In fact, they had an old one. And when we put out that concern that how can you not have an MRI, for instance, they said there's one in the works, and they gave some explanation. Well, that one in the works, whether it has arrived now, we do not know. But where I'm going to with my question, I brought out all these layers to say you have worked with them. What exactly is your assessment of this government, the Kwara State leadership?
Thank you. Good morning. I'll just pick up from where you left off. For the Abdurrahman administration, it's Abdurrahman Abdurrazak is an easy seller for Kwara State APC and Kwara State as a whole, because over the past 7 years he has performed exceptionally well. I can just run you through some of the achievements in the past 7 years that he's done in Kwara. I mean, picking up from your healthcare situation, yes, the MRI issue. But beyond that, with huge, investment in the health sector, we've established the Kwara State Teaching Hospital. Many secondary and primary healthcare centers were established and rehabilitated across the state. And the state even won, under the leadership of the governor, also won the $500,000 primary healthcare leadership challenge, among many others. And again, the governor has also facilitated the BUA 20 billion innovation center for the diagnostic center that's coming to Ilorin as well. So these are these are achievements in the health sector. If we move towards education, for example, with over 600 basic schools renovated, newly constructed, 1,254 classrooms have been delivered since 2019 to 2024. 8,600 basic teachers employed, and more than 14.2 billion in UBEC matching grants have been accessed. Wash facilities have also been provided to these schools, some schools which never had them. And this has helped the educational system, and you can see the rise in students in Kwara winning quizzes here and there and going for competitions and rising to the wide standards. If you look at roads, for example, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak has completed 338 kilometers of road. We have about 247 ongoing, which brings the total to about 588 kilometers of roads. If you look at the roads facilitated by His Excellency, we have the Ofa Ojoku Afoyan Koren, which is about 42 kilometers. Udesadu, Kayama, and Kusukusu, which is 83 kilometers. You have the Okuta Gwanara, which is 32 kilometers, bringing the facility routes by the tax scheme to about 247. So he's looking to, the goal is to get to 1,000 kilometers by the end of his administration, and that goal is ongoing. Right. If you look at welfare, from payments of salaries, allowances, payments of
I mean, it's interesting to see you reel out these achievements on paper. Whether or not the residents of Kwara State will agree with you, as Jeff would always say, is another kettle of fish. But the escalation of security concerns in Kwara State cannot go unnoticed. I know the state borders Niger State and I think Ondo State, and there have been that escalation in kidnappings and banditry. And the last 8 years of that governor, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, has been called into question as to just how he's been able to, with all of the monies that states are receiving, and perhaps he is the chief security officer, has he been able to manage the issues around security in Kwara State? I mean, there have been reports of kidnappings here and there in and around Kwara State.
I mean, Kwara State is the 9th largest state in Nigeria. We're bordering Oyo to the south, Ekiti to the east, Niger to the north, and Kogi to the east as well. So it's a massive state. That's number one. Number two, security challenges are not peculiar to Kwara State alone. Security challenges is what we've been battling in Nigeria for quite some time. And it's not specific to Abdurrahman Abdulrazak's administration. The administration in question has partnered and worked closely with the military. His Excellency has also been with the president and also discussed how we can rein home these miscreants that have been causing problems in the northern part of Kwara. And that's why His Excellency the Commander-in-Chief has just recently approved the 9th division of the military to be in the line, and has also sent a new battalion to go to Umaron and station there so that we can rein home the security situation. His Excellency Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has also provided tools, vehicles, and also funding for the local vigilante to help boost and curb this problems. And security, like I said, is not just a fire issue. It's they're raining from the Niger into Kwara from that national park, because we have a massive national park, which is a massive forest, and that's where the curbing needs to be done. And then the military has done significantly well in the past weeks. They captured a couple of them in Kwara North and neutralized them, and were able to rescue a few people. So it's an ongoing process. For Governor, he's tried his best to make sure that he gets that rainbow.
As we continue to look at the process as it is ongoing, as you have said, Kwara citizens have been speaking in the last 1 week or two, expressing concern about very little that is being done to ensure the release of the 176 Kwara kidnap victims who have been in captivity since February, I believe. And we've heard very little that is being said by the Kwara State governor on that particular case of kidnapping. And in spite of all the measures that you have rolled out and the partnerships with the military, the communities in Kwara State still speak about how they remain vulnerable to attacks. But I'd like you to speak specifically about the Kwara case.
Okay. Just security issues as they are, you have to be very careful and not to come on air and discuss what's been happening. But like I've told you earlier, the governor is working closely with the military. In fact, they're doing sweepies. They sweep, all that parts of the reserves up onto Kwara North from time to time, and that has been going on. In the rescue of the kidnapped victims, that has been giving the governor sleepless nights. It's something that they've been trying to work with the military, with the president on to to be able to get these kidnapped victims back and get them to their families. It's an ongoing process. It's not something that is meant for open discussion because there are security issues, and that's what the governor has been doing. And very soon, these people are going to be reunited with their families. We share their pain, we share their frustration, but these are security issues at the end of the day, and we have to be able to follow them with the utmost secrecy and I do that it deserves.
Well, I don't know whether your explanation surfaced, but that's your explanation. More action needs to be done. But let me switch gears. Maybe we'll come back to the issue of security. Let's talk about governance. One of the things that the government is being touting is about youth inclusiveness. As a matter of fact, the speaker is anointed to take over as the successor of the governor. That has brought in a lot of division in the party. So I'll switch gears now to the issue of politics. And the concern with the people that dissent and don't agree with that is the fact that they talk about his experience, they talk about whether the consultation was broad-based, they talk about even the process itself. In fact, there is maybe a move for an target against this particular candidate. How is the APC in the state managing all of this, and what's the counter-narrative?
I think we're using the word to get used now. One can say that, but we need to understand what the Otuge means and what brought about the Otuge in the first place. Otuge was about authoritarian rule by a certain family for over 30 plus years. This administration is just 7 years, plus going on. So that those two differences cannot even be discussed. But moving on. Yes, Kwara State had one of the largest amount of aspirants across board, right from House of Assembly members to House of Reps to Senate and to governor in the entire country. That speaks to something. That speaks to that the governor in question and the party in Kwara State are seen by everyone as the party to be in to get your aspirations, and that speaks to the leadership that the governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has put over for the past 7 years, and that's why everyone wanted to contest in APC. I mean, look at the House of Assembly, for example. You had 150 plus people to 24 seats. House of Rep was 60 to 6 seats. Senate was 20 to 3 seats. Governorship was 15 plus to 1 seat. So in that kind of scenario, obviously, I should just build out these numbers. Someone has to have the ticket. you have the people that won't, because that's just how politics are. What we need to do is to allow the party use this internal mechanisms to resolve the issues around the primaries and whatnot, which the party is currently doing, and speaking to all sides across all the political positions, and seeing how we can accommodate them and see how we can work together. Because at the end of the day, they know that APC is the only party in Kwara State that is functioning. APC is the only party in Kwara State that can win elections. If you run a poll independently today, they'll tell you that they'll vote for APC. So,
Mr. Shitu, it was the same situation where we had thousands of candidates all over the country who participated in the primaries, but they still speak to the management of the process being less than satisfactory. And there was also the back and forth about whether the governor had endorsed Dunlady, the speaker, or Yaya Seriki, and then it went back to Dunlady. And there are now, I believe, 15 aggrieved governorship aspirants who were eased out of the process and may be uniting against the candidacy of this particular chosen anointed successor to the governor. How is the party moving to appeal to these aggrieved aspirants ahead of the election?
Thank you very much. As politicians, I also run in this cycle that we are talking about. So as politicians, as loyal party members, we must always accept the outcome of the party decisions, especially primaries, because primaries are exclusive party affair. You must be able to accept the party decisions when he favors us and when he don't. We can't only be happy when you get the ticket, and then when you don't, you want to pull things down. Like I said, the party in Kwara and the party at the national level are working hand in hand together with all the candidates across board, not just the G15 or the governorship candidates. We're working across the entire, from House of Assembly to reps, and then to see how we can accommodate everyone and make sure that we work together to achieve the election coming in 2027.
I totally understand. I know that a couple of things we would have loved to explore in terms of youth inclusiveness and all of that. We're totally out of time. But we talked about the politics and the succession plan, and we're going to explore this conversation even more. We must thank you so much for coming on the program, Mr. Akintade Shitu, former Special Assistant on Geographic Information Systems, the Kwara State Governor. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So guys, what do we have left? Do we have any time for anything left?
Not at all.
totally president.
Goodbyes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. From Lagos, Nigeria, I am Kelly Egiga. Sunrise Daily is next.
We'll be back again for the home stretch tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Bye-bye.